and good evening, and welcome to this Monday, October 15th, 2012 edition of Skies Highs on Skies. This weekend we got some much-needed rain, but today made way for abundant sunshine. But will that last much longer? We have Sean and Nate in the studio, and we'll have much more to come up on this edition of Skies Highs on the Skies.
Broadcasting live from Ames, Iowa, this is Skies Eyes on the Skies. ISU TV's longest running television show brings you the weather around the country, in Iowa, Ames, and beyond. The Iowa State Meteorology Department's team of forecasters keeps you ahead of the next weather system. Skies Eyes on the Skies starts now.
And welcome back to Skies Eyes on the Skies. I am joined by Sean Stelten. Sean, how's it going this evening?
It is going really well. Like you said earlier, we had a lot of sunshine out here today, didn't we?
Yeah, and the wind was extremely calm today.
Yes, it was.
Unlike this weekend where it was very breezy.
Oh, yes. And, I found out all about that. As many of the people here know, I'm in marching band, and out on the field, it was just tough to march through that, even with all the slippery grass and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, but, we got much-needed rain this weekend, some rain totals. Des Moines got 2.33 inches. That was about the highest. Waterloo got 3 inches, which is impressive.
Yes.
We made somewhat of a major dent in our drought.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe we'll have some more coming up, and Nate will explain that. So hopefully we will. But otherwise, today was a wonderful day. We had sunshine, calm winds. Couldn't ask for a better day, but I think it's going to get better, which Nate will have more. Mm-hmm. But then you have something that's off into Atlantic.
Well, yeah, we have a tropical storm coming up. That we'll be taking a look at. We've got some more warnings coming out along that coast, but we'll take a look at that later in our national weather. So
yeah, which will be interesting. But for now, we're going to send it over to Nate and check in how today's forecast went. Nate, how did you think today went?
Oh, today was fantastic out there. Sunshine, temperatures, close to 70, I think they were.
Yeah, it was just fantastic.
Almost perfect out there. It really was.
Will it be getting nicer?
You know what? It will be, and I'll have to hint at that in a little bit later in the show. But it won't last long, and that's something else we'll have to talk about. But for now, we can pop the day planner up. At midnight tonight, we'll have clear skies with a temperature of 52 degrees. When you wake up at 8 a.m. for those classes, it'll be a little on the cool side with a temperature of 48. And then in your walk back home from classes, it'll be sunny and a high of 74 degrees. So fantastic weather for tomorrow, but again, that will change coming later in the week.
Much, Nate. We're going to send it to our first break, but when we come back, Sean will give us your national forecast and that Atlantic storm he hinted at, so you're going to stay tuned to Skies Eyes on the Skies. And welcome back to Skies Eyes on the Skies. We're going to head over to the wall with Sean Stelten for your national forecast.
All right, well, thank you, Zach. First off, we're going to take a look at our current temps around the nation. We got a pretty good spread of temperatures, all the way up in the 60s up in Seattle, down to the 90s down in Phoenix. So overall, it's kind of mild, but fairly seasonable weather for different areas around the country. Then over on the eastern part of the U.S., we've got 50s up around Chicago and then into the New York area and New England. Overall, pretty seasonable going into this week. Highs this afternoon, not too different from what our current temperatures are right now. It hit 60 up in Seattle, 95 down in Phoenix, 77 in Denver, and pulling over into the eastern part of the U.S., 71 in St. Louis, and 76 down in Atlanta. Highs tomorrow are looking approximately the same. We've got a pretty good temperature spread once again with 90s and 80s down in the southern U.S. and 50s and 60s up into the northwestern portions of the United States. And pulling over once again into the east, we've got 70 in Chicago and 70 in Minneapolis. Moving into this region, tomorrow's forecast is looking pretty good. We've got sunny to partly cloudy skies throughout the region with 70 to 80s across the north to south area, with 85 down in Hayes down here and 70 up in Minneapolis. Pulling out and looking at our national clouds and radar, overall, there's a little bit of activity going on. We got some showers up in the northwestern part of the United States, but down into the central and Mississippi River Valley and whatnot, it's overall pretty calm, pretty clear, not too much going on. But if we move over into the eastern U.S., we have the remnants of what hit us over the weekend moving off the East Coast and out into the Atlantic. Looking at our futurecast, we're going to start you off right now, Monday at 7 p.m. Not too much going on into tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., but we do have a few showers up near Billings and Seattle. Moving on until Tuesday at 5 p.m., those showers move into Billings and start moving into Wyoming, but once again, not that big of a deal. Now, moving on into Wednesday at 7 a.m., those showers start to move into the Minneapolis area and down into Iowa. So that could be bringing us some rain once again and kind of help with that drought situation. But look up at here in Idaho near Seattle, between Billings and Seattle. That blue stuff is snow, so they might be seeing some of that white stuff coming down pretty soon. And moving into Wednesday at 6 p.m., those showers that were in Iowa are moving off into Chicago and into Wisconsin towards the Great Lakes. Looking at our national warnings, looks like our hurricane warning, or our tropical storm warnings that are off to the east really aren't popping up right now, so we won't be able to take a look at those. However, in the central U.S., there's a fire weather watch out for much of Nebraska and Kansas because it's pretty dry down there. Fires can start pretty quickly. But and even up into North Dakota, we have a red flag warning, so that's a little bit more urgent for that type of stuff. And into South Dakota, high wind watches that also can be a pretty big help to fires in the area. So you're gonna have to watch out for that. Since nothing really is going on throughout the country warning-wise, I thought we'd pop into my hometown of Chaska, Minnesota, and take a look at what's going on there. So throughout the beginning of this week, it's going to be mainly cloudy. Not too much going on until Thursday, where there's a 40% chance of rain and showers with a high of 51 and a low of 42. Pulling off into the weekend, though, looks pretty nice. Temperatures mainly in the 50s. Sunday, we're looking at partly cloudy skies with 30% chance of rain and a low of 39. But that's all we have right now for national weather. Let's send it back over to Zach at the desk.
Thank you very much, Sean. Let's take a look at today's trivia question. On this day in 1880, how deep were the snow drifts, surprisingly, in northwest Iowa? Is it A, 1 to 2 feet, B, 3 to 5 feet, C, 6 to 10 feet, or D, 10 to 15 feet? We'll have that answer and much more with Nate's forecast coming up through the break, so you're going to want to stay tuned. And welcome back to Size Ice on this, guys. Let's take a look at that trivia question once again to recap your question. And the question was, on this day in 1880, how deep were the snow drifts in northwest Iowa? Is it A, 1 to 2 feet, B, 3 to 5 feet, C, 6 to 10 feet, or D, 10 to 15 feet? And the answer is D, 10 to 15 feet. That's pretty deep, but for now, let's send it over to Nathan and see if there's going to be any snow in your forecast. But Nate, go ahead, take it away.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm meteorologist Nathan Coy here with a take a look at your Iowa forecast. We had a very pleasant day out there today, and it still is, with a temperature of 63 degrees outside our studio right now, and just a light wind out of the southeast at 6 miles an hour. Current temperatures around central Iowa, again, 63 in Ames. Oh, sorry about that. We moved on a little fast there, but if we take a look at the state right now, we have a temperature of 61 in Mason City, a very warm 71 out in Sioux City, and 63 down in Ottumwa. Take a look at Kerr winds. Are very light around the state, just 5 miles an hour in Waterloo, a light south wind of 7 miles an hour in Mason City, and just 6 miles an hour right now in Fort Dodge. Not much happening right now on the clouds and radar. We just have a few clouds streaming in from the northwest that is associated with just a weak low pressure system that we will see when we look at our futurecast up from the northwest. But right now, maybe just a few little sprinkles up in southern Minnesota, but nothing much is happening at this time. Again, taking a look at the futurecast, here's that bank of clouds that we just looked at right now. As we move this on, we have some showers skirting through northern Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. And here's that weather system we talked about. We have a warm front that will come through parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin, and it'll followed by a cold front. And here's the showers that we will be talking about for parts of Wednesday and Thursday. And then the cold front will follow through and bring us cooler temperatures. So for tonight, expect partly cloudy skies and temperatures on the bit of a cool side, the low of 47. Tomorrow, fantastic out there, partly sunny skies, the high temperature of 75 degrees. And here looking at your 7-day forecast, there's that rain chance we're talking about for Wednesday. And we'll have weather continuing through the rest of the week. Cool down coming on Thursday, Otherwise, we will warm up back in the next week once again. So again, pleasant weather tomorrow, and then a cool down for the middle of the week.
So no chance of snow in the forecast after
Not
that trivia
yet,
question.
no.
But it's sort of interesting, that trivia question, there was a historic blizzard, and it was sort of weird because in southeast Iowa, they were getting severe weather. In northwest Iowa, they were getting the 10 to 15 feet snow flakes. And for a half-hour period, southeast Iowa portion of it was receiving walnut-sized hail. Walnut-sized hail for a half hour. And it did some amazing damage, but that's just amazing. This time of year, Iowa can experience some wicked weather. And this weekend, we were sort of planning on it, but it never set up.
Yeah, never really got going.
I know Nate and I went out. We were hoping we got a chance.
Yeah.
It is fell apart.
Well, I mean, and the models, they were looking so good until like Wednesday, when all of a sudden they just decided, oh, no, we changed our mind.
Yeah.
And just overall, like even down to the south, there wasn't a ton of severe weather like
Exactly.
we were expecting.
There was only 6 tornado reports, and with one of them, one person was injured in Arkansas, and that was a rated an EF1 tornado with 105-mile-per-hour winds. Otherwise, there's 56 wind reports with 2 high wind reports and 22 hail reports. So overall, across the whole entire Midwest, from Texas here, there was a small amount of numbers, and we were expecting an outbreak, but that just never happened.
Like the SPC, they put out a day 5 severe risk, which is usually indicative of, there's going to be something happening, but then it just kind of died.
Yeah, it disappeared, and we all wondered where did it go, and then most of us were disappointed. I know a lot of us. There was at one time 5 chaser cars that were going to go out, and I know only 2 of them went out.
Yeah.
Well, and like with me for marching band, we could have been chasing tornadoes in 6 coach buses.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting, but it would have been an experience. So.
Well, we weren't the only ones that got severe weather. France got a tornado the other
Did
day.
they?
Yeah, France got a tornado. It was they damaged more than 100 homes, and 25 people had minor injuries. So we weren't the only ones that received severe weather, but it's all over the board. And then, I just read something today that September. This was the Earth's warmest September since it's never for one, but tied back with 2005.
Interesting.
And then the last time the Earth had a below average September was in 1976.
Wow.
So there's your little tidbit of the day.
Quite some time then for below average temperature.
So talking about a warm year, so we set a record with Earth's warmest temperature, which you never really hear about.
Yeah, that's. You usually just hear about Ames set a record for today, but
for Earth set a record, sort of
exactly.
Sort of
impressive.
Cool that
Very impressive.
And in other news, then that space jumper. I don't know if you watched that yesterday. Did you watch it?
I did not get up early enough to watch that, even though it was at 11. However, I heard about it and it sounded really cool, and I may have to go and watch some
I watched it.
videos.
It was sort of tense at moments.
Really?
But his max speed was 833.9 miles per hour. So that beat the speed of sound.
Interesting.
They said at times he was on fire.
Wow.
And so, but he said that he could not virtually feel how fast he was traveling since, you have no focal points,
Oh, yeah. Well, we just listened to a presentation about that included a guy that went skydiving, and he just said that as soon as you pass up above 7,000 feet, you really don't realize how high you're getting.
But can you just imagine traveling at 800 miles per hour?
Oh, I know.
Well, they had one of the camera shots looking down at him when he jumped off, and he disappeared out of the camera shot in just a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
That's how fast he was going, which is just amazing,
Wow.
I think.
But yeah, for all that, and he's devoted 7 years of his life to do it. It took some timing.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, so you said this week's looking pretty nice.
This week's looking pretty nice until we hit that Wednesday and the Thursday time frame. It is going to cool down back to lower 50s. We might even struggle to try to get into lower 50s. It's going to take all day to get there if we get there.
Now, what about umbrellas? Did you think maybe Wednesday, Thursday take an umbrella to class?
I think Wednesday, Thursday you should probably take an umbrella just to be on the safe side. It shouldn't be an all-day washout, but there's certainly going to be showers around. Probably breezy conditions once again like it was on the weekend, so be prepared for that.
Thank you, Butch. All right, thank you for joining us here on Size Eyes on the Skies tonight. Join us again on Wednesday as we will have much more from all of us here. Have a great night.